ça les 12 ans.
29er, scheduled timing.
A commander integrates the firepower of all direct and indirect fire weapons and maneuver forces to maximize his combat power. As he develops his plan for the employment of his force, he envisages how his fire support resources will be used, what targets to attack with what means, and the priorities for engagement. Fire support encompasses command and control, coordination, target acquisition, weapons and ammunition. The command, control, and coordination involve those organizations and functions which help provide fire support, including those tactical and technical actions needed to attack targets quickly and effectively. Target acquisition includes a number of battlefield resources used for the timely detection, identification, and location of ground targets in sufficient detail to permit effective attack by supporting weapons. Weapons and ammunition involve all indirect fire weapons, mainly gun and rocket artillery, mortars, close support aircraft, attack helicopters with their variety of munitions, along with active electronic warfare assets that are available to the commander. Each component functions in concert with the others, with fire support being planned downwards and coordinated upwards. Artillery advisors, air liaison, and EW personnel are located at all formation command posts, where they are in continuous personal contact with the operations staff. They actively inject fire support into the planning and execution of the operation, anticipating changes and advising on how it can best influence the battle on a minute-to-minute basis. Fire support normally results from a commander allocating resources in a written operations order to formations and to division troops. The division operations order specifies the artillery, air, aviation, and electronic warfare support that is available, any imposed limitations, how it is allocated, and any special instructions on how maneuver and fire support are to be integrated and coordinated. It establishes the direction of target acquisition and intelligence efforts and the desired target effects guidelines. It may also include a list of target priorities that the commander decides are crucial to success. Fire planning integrates fire support with maneuver. The planning process anticipates requirements and ensures adequate fire support is integrated into the battle plan. Recommends the most effective means of attacking a target using minimum appropriate resources. Uses all available target information. Remains flexible to provide for changing needs. Plans fire to protect troops and minimize the exposure of fire units. And develops an efficient and fully integrated fire plan. The planning process mainly involves artillery, air, and operations staff at formation and unit headquarters. The artillery fire plan flows from the direction given in the division operations order. It is prepared by Fire Support Coordination Center artillery staff, with target requirements being provided by maneuver commanders.
As you can see.
Fire plans integrating air and attack helicopters with direct fire elements are also coordinated by the artillery staff, who are assisted by liaison personnel from the involved units. Their complexity and depth depends on how much time is available and the level at which the planning occurs. The close air support plan is prepared by the Division Air Liaison Officer in conjunction with the Corps Air Allotment, requests from the formations and division troops, and the requirements of the Division Operations Order. All missions are coordinated within the Division FSCC prior to being passed on for approval. Fire support coordination welds together the fire plan and the maneuver plan. It includes the coordination of all forms of indirect fire, and on occasion, certain forms of direct fire. The coordination process anticipates changes and recommends revisions to the fire plan, directs the attack of targets according to the priority established by the commander, tasks the most effective fire support means to engage targets, coordinates all fire within assigned boundaries, ensures the safeguarding of friendly elements, and maintains the continuing flow of tactical targeting information. Coordination involves the artillery commander, FSCC staffs, and the tactical air control parties at unit and formation headquarters, dedicated communications for fire planning and the execution of fire missions, and certain rules and guidelines for selected areas of the battlefield for given time periods. The artillery commander at all levels is the fire support coordinator and normally functions from the FSCC. He develops a cohesive fire support coordination team, provides advice to the commander on the capabilities and use of all fire support measures, coordinates all available means to ensure targets are adequately covered, prevents duplication, ensures safety, and allocates the right weapon to each target. Should naval, air, or aviation representatives not be available, their functions will be carried out by the artillery. Fire support coordination measures are undertaken at all levels to ensure that fire will not jeopardize the safety of our own troops or aircraft, interfere with other fire support means, or disrupt adjacent unit operations. These measures include boundaries, no fire lines, fire support coordination lines, and restricted fire lines. Boundaries are established to define an operational area in which the commander fires and maneuvers. They prohibit others from firing into that area unless they conduct cross-boundary coordination. A no-fire line defines the area short of which artillery does not fire without coordination. These lines are mainly established by brigade commanders and are employed to protect forward elements. The fire support coordination line permits the engagement of all targets beyond it by air and naval forces, with a minimum of coordination. It is established by the Corps Commander and is based on readily identifiable ground features. A restricted fire line prohibits fire across a line established between converging forces, typically involving airborne, heliborne, or seaborne operations. The Division FSCC operates under the Artillery Commander with personnel and equipment provided by Division Artillery Headquarters. At Brigade Headquarters, resources come from the assigned Close Support Medium Regiment. These may be augmented by Specialist Air electronic warfare, and air defense liaison officers, and on occasion might include LOs from the attack squadron or other fire support agencies. The battle group FSCC is normally based on the personnel and equipment of the assigned direct support battery commander, augmented by resources from the mortar platoon. The battery commander operates the FSCC and is responsible for the coordination of all indirect fire support available to the battle group. Specifically, the FSCC provides advice to the supported commander on the capabilities and use of all fire support resources, plans and coordinates all fire support available to the unit of formation, coordinates air defense activities, and orders weapon states, and allots fire support resources to meet each specific request, including weapon selection and processing requests which cannot be met from its own resources. Fire plans are received by the FSCC, coordinated, and passed on to the appropriate fire unit for action. When a request cannot be met, available alternatives may be suggested, or the request can be passed on to the next higher headquarters. Communications interlinking the FSCC include the battle group or formation command net, the artillery command nets, the air request and tactical air direction nets, and other nets involving agencies providing fire support to the force. The FSCC communications are maintained during the move by using the formation's alternate headquarters FSCC, or through a step-up element, until communications and control are re-established. During an operation, the FSCC monitors the implementation of any timed fire plan, keeps an up-to-date situation map showing unit boundaries, other limiting measures, and troop locations as they change. Coordinates for on-call fire missions, which are plotted and visually inspected relative to limiting measures and troop locations. Silence is the consent for the request, and interruptions are only made if danger exists for a friendly unit. Questionable targets that plot close to adjacent boundaries or near troop positions are coordinated with the appropriate FSCC. Missions outside a unit's boundaries are coordinated with the affected unit. Ongoing airstrikes and other fire support activities are also monitored. Those that fall short of the FSCL must be under the positive control of a forward air controller, forward observation officer, or other fire controller. Information on fire missions beyond the no-fire line and short of the FSCL is passed on to the appropriate air agency. In addition, the FSCC is kept posted on and assists with air attack missions directed at suppression of enemy air defense weapon systems. Target analysis is an aid to the fire planning and coordination process. It is mainly carried out against depth targets by artillery and air liaison officers operating from the formation FSCC. It involves locating the target and determining its nature quickly, selecting the munition and delivery system, and passing orders to attack it with sufficient accuracy to achieve surprise, thus catching the enemy before he can take cover or disperse. Lengthy adjustment, increased communications, and locating activity will give forewarning and may endanger our positions and fire units. A potential target is examined to provide proper target selection advice to the maneuver commander, to attack targets in the proper precedence, and to designate the best means of attack to achieve the desired target effect, considering target location accuracy, target type, resources available, and safety of our troops. The best mix of resources is selected by the artillery, air, or aviation advisor in consultation with the maneuver commander. Advice to the commander generally involves recommendations on the feasibility of neutralizing or destroying a target. Neutralization of a target temporarily knocks it out of battle, causing casualties and serious battle damage to at least 10% of the enemy force. Fire can be delivered by any available means, and the resources required for neutralization vary according to the type and size of the target and the weapon-ammunition combination used. Destruction puts the target permanently out of action and is aimed at inflicting 30% or more casualties or material damage in a short time period. Direct hits are required to destroy hard targets, generally requiring use of precision-guided or sensing projectiles. These missions usually require a very large expenditure of ammunition. In determining the precedence of the attack, the primary consideration is the target priorities, which have been determined by the maneuver commander. Targets are also considered in respect to their potential danger and may be generally categorized into those which will prevent the execution of the plan, those which can cause serious interference, and those which may cause limited disruption of the operation. Other specific considerations involve characteristics of the target, which may vary considerably in composition, protection, size, shape, mobility, and recuperative ability, proximity of the target to friendly troops, and accuracy of the target locations, and weather, which may greatly affect some types of munitions. The analysis process also considers the characteristics of available fire support to determine which is most capable of producing the desired effects on the target. This includes the availability of various weapon systems, their vulnerability to enemy counterfire, their accuracy, and response time. It will normally recommend a method of attack which details the number of units required to ensure adequate concentration and the duration of the fire. The completed analysis forms the basis in deciding to immediately attack a target, defer the attack, placing it on call, to disregard the target, or to pass it back to a higher formation. The fire support subsystem of the Automated Combat Information System is used by staffs to assist with detailed fire planning activities, the coordination of fire support, the development of target intelligence, target analysis, and to optimize the use of fire support resources. It integrates the wide range of direct, indirect, air, and aviation elements into a single working entity, allowing for the best use of each asset. Fire support involves planning and coordination functions which occur simultaneously at all levels of command, from the combat team to the corps. These functions drive the fire support plan to respond to the commander's requirements and to integrate fire support with maneuver. They optimize the combat power of the division and achieve maximum effectiveness from every mission fired or sortie flown. Throughout any operation, the coordination of artillery and other resources is the gunner's task. The fire plan remains the responsibility of the operational commander and may involve not only artillery, but also weapons of other arms, as well as aircraft and ships. This division between coordination and planning requires a close interrelationship between the commander and his gunner, who work together from the outset.